Welcome to the Disneyland with Kids podcast, where we help you plan vacations in 30 minutes or less. Connect with us and other Disney friends in the Disneyland with Kids Facebook group as you listen in on the conversation. On this episode of Disneyland with Kids, we are talking about how many days do you need at Disneyland. I am Jessica Sanders from the happiest vlog on earth.
And I am Becca Robbins from This Crazy Adventure Called Life.
Now, between Becca and I, we have done Disneyland countless times, anywhere from frantic less than 24-hour flying in and out to leisurely 2-week vacations with 5 or more days at Disneyland in the mix. But today we're going to break it down for you kind of day by day. Let's start, Becca, with a quick question right off the bat. What's your go-to answer if somebody says, how many days do I need at Disneyland? Besides 365.
Well, that's my go-to answer. So realistically, I say you'll need 5 days and you still won't get it all done.
Really?
But that's what I like to say to people. I mean, you might get a lot of it done, but you cannot do everything in Disneyland in 5 days. And I mean absolutely everything. The people that tell you they do everything in 1 day or 2 days, they're lying.
They mean they do everything they wanted to do. Because exactly. I still haven't done some things and I've been there over and over, and I certainly haven't tried everything to eat. But my go-to answer is 3 days. As like a minimum, really. I mean, sure, we're going to talk about that, what you can do in less time. But if you're going just for a vacation, I say get at least 3 days. So now let's backtrack a little bit and let's just start with that bare minimum, because I've done it, you've done it, and that's just 1 day. 1 day only.
Oh, 1 day only. That is for us Disney addicts that may happen to be in the area for 1 day, and we either have an annual pass or we are crazy enough to drop $150 to go for just 1 day to Disneyland, because that is an expensive ticket if you're only going 1 day. It's that being at Disneyland is better than not being at Disneyland ticket.
So you mentioned like a lot of people local or AP holders, but really, what if you're going into Southern California and you legit only have 1 day and this is your vacation? What would someone expect to do in 1 day at Disneyland?
Well, of course, we talk a lot here about planning, and we have a lot of episodes coming up that will talk about this. But if you're only going 1 day, you're going to have to rope drop. You're going to have to be there early. You're going to have to know what you want to do and prioritize that. And you will have to utilize Disney Max Pass. And everyone knows I am not the diehard fan of Max Pass for everyone. But if you're only going 1 day, you better be splurging and buying Max Pass.
Yeah, and any chance you can to get those front of the line passes, which is exactly what Max Pass does, and just really setting those priorities. That's a perfect time to have a plan for your day, utilize the Disneyland with Kids Facebook group, and figure out what's most important to your family. Now, if you're going 1 day, are you park hopping with kids?
I have, but not always. If I have little kids, I don't. When I went last year for 1 day with my older son, I did, because we were just mostly doing thrill rides. So it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, so you need to evaluate too, like the ages of your kids, and again, the priorities. What's the characters that are most important to them, the experiences, the attractions? I'm saying if you have just 1 day, just stick to Disneyland. Like if you've never been to Disneyland, this is your first trip, or your kids have never been, I say let's just stick to Disneyland and get all that magic and do it right.
Definitely. And that will make a difference in your decision too, whether or not you've been before, and also whether or not you want to drop $50 to increase to a park hopper ticket for 1 day.
Totally. So let's give us a little more wiggle room. Let's go to 2 days at Disneyland. What 2-day visits are best for what kind of group of people?
These are the people that maybe have a quick trip, but they want to have a full day in each park. So this is a great one for families maybe going on a long weekend where they really just cannot go more than 2 days, but they want to stay in the magic as long as possible.
Yeah, and for that, I would almost even recommend staying on one of the properties that Disneyland Resort has and really just expand that experience as much as possible. So 2 days, let's just say for you, you've got 3 kids and 2 younger kids, one a little bit older. If you're doing 2 days, are you splitting it up evenly or what are you planning to do?
We go to Disneyland a lot, so we would play it by ear. But if it was, we know we're not going to be back for a while, we would definitely probably just go Disneyland one day and California Adventure the next. But just because then we could do as much possible in each park without wasting that. It's a really short time to park hop, but it does waste some precious moments when you only have 2 days.
Well, I hear a lot of people ask in the Disneyland with Kids Facebook group, is there even enough to do at California Adventure in one, like for one whole day? And that's probably another topic that we can totally get into. But do you fill up a full day at California Adventure with your family?
I do, but that is not just rides. That's what people need to understand about California Adventure is there are a lot more things to do than rides. You have shows, you have Animation Academy, you have a lot of meet and greets with like Marvel characters. There's not as many rides, but there is plenty to experience and fill up one day.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it gives you a little bit more of a laid back experience. So now we're moving into that. I mean, Disneyland is a go, go, go experience, but we're moving into the grounds of being a little bit more laid back when you get onto 3 days or more. Why is three such a magical number for visiting Disneyland Resort, Becca?
Because you get an extra hour in the park before the general public. Magic morning. Love me some Magic Morning.
Okay, so explain a little bit about Magic Morning. How can you get that extra hour inside Disneyland?
All right, so anyone who purchases a 3-day or longer ticket, whether it's one park a day or park hopper in advance, is given a Magic Morning entry. And that means one day you can choose to enter into Disneyland Park early, either on a Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, although sometimes that varies. And you get to get in an hour before the general public and go experience the rides and attractions in Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. You can knock out a whole lot of stuff in that 1 hour if you really focus.
And this is before park opening, so sometimes it's as early as 7 a.m. Do you think it's worth getting up for?
Yes, it is 100% worth it. Plan on getting there at 6:30 so that you're in line before the park, before they open for Magic Morning, and just plan on taking a midday rest, whether that's in the park or going back to your hotel. But that 1 hour, you can complete all of Fantasyland, save Peter Pan.
Yeah, just in that Magic Morning, if you plan it right too. Having a plan in advance is definitely going to help you because you don't want to show up at the gates at 7 a.m. or show up to parking at 7 a.m. because you're going to waste that whole Magic Morning. But 3 days is going to get you access to Magic Morning, and that's only at Disneyland Park, not California Adventure. But then with 3 days, are you doing 2 days at Disneyland, one day at California Adventure, park hopping? Tell me what's your game plan.
So my old plan was always 2 days at Disneyland, one at California Adventure. But once they reimagined California Adventure, I feel that park is so much better and you could spend way more than a day there. So now we always spring for Park Hopper and we just kind of go back and forth between the parks. I mean, they're so close. It's so easy to just go back and forth as you please. So we definitely suggest Park Hopper, especially because it's $55 on the 2-day and longer tickets, no matter how many days you go. So whether it's 3 days or 5 days, you're paying the same $55.
Great point. Yeah. So to park hop, it's going to cost you the same once you hit that certain day limit or starting off there. So let's move into 4 days at Disneyland. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could handle going 4 days in a row. Do I have to use my ticket 4 days in a row?
Thankfully, no. And this is a really good point because Disneyland is exhausting. I mean, you have kids that are overstimulated, off their schedules, lack of sleep, probably not eating as well as they would at home. So it's really great when you get to 4 day and up that you can take a break. You can split it 2 days and a beach day or even a few beach days because you have 13 days from the first day you scan in to utilize your ticket. So you can spread that out as much as you want as long as you use your ticket within those 13 days.
And so that's good for any multi-day ticket, but I was just bringing it up here because people go, oh my gosh, like first a few minutes ago we were just talking about getting there at 6:30 a.m. and now you're telling me I've got to do this like 4 days in a row, and that's not really what we're saying. Anytime you have a multi-day ticket, you can spread that out and put some break days in between, so if you want to experience other things or even just your hotel, because hotels are stepping up their game in Anaheim, and they're putting a lot of things that we want to do at our hotel, spending time at the pool, relaxing, maybe doing some shopping, downtown Disney, all kinds of things. All right, Becca. So in the US, the maximum number of ticket days you can purchase before splurging for that annual pass, and we tend to talk a lot of people into getting an annual pass, but the maximum days you could buy is 5 days. There are some exceptions outside the US, and that's amazing. I wish I could get my hands on those tickets, but here we have 5 day tickets. The cost per day is amazing because the more days you buy, the less you pay for admission per day. And you said at the beginning of the episode that 5 days is your go-to answer of how many days you'd spend at Disneyland. So in 5 days, I mean, are you going to get sick of riding Matterhorn again? Or what is your family doing over 5 days at Disneyland?
So the reason I suggest 5 days is because one, your cost per day is so much lower that you don't feel like you have to stay open to close. A lot of times when you're spending the one day $150 on it, or two to 300 on a 2 day, and that's at the time of this recording. I mean, it could go, we don't know what will be in the future. But if you have that, you feel like you have to be there open to close, and you have to get every little amount of magic you can. And that's great if you have a short vacation. But if you're already taking a week or a week and a half to visit the California area, then why not splurge for that higher ticket and be able to relax a little, only spend half a day at Disney and then leave for the day, or, spend the morning, leave, and come back in the evening just for the fireworks. It gives you a lot more freedom to relax and enjoy the parks at your pace. Plus, then if you have kids that are having a meltdown, it's not that big a deal to leave the park on day 3 because you have day 4 and 5 that you can come back. So that is why I prefer 5 days. Plus, of course, you always want to do that favorite ride one last time before you go, even if it's just going in the morning before you fly or drive home. You just want to get one more ride in. And so it's really nice to have that 5 day ticket.
You brought up so many good points. When you have that 5 days, a lot of times you can hop in the parks after you arrive on an airplane or your road trip. It doesn't matter if you're getting there right in the morning or not. So maybe your flight arrives around noon and you have lunch, you check into your hotel, and then you go over to the parks, close it out for the night. I mean, you can really get some good mileage out of those 5 day tickets. And just the stress level really can go down in us adults. You mentioned having the pressure of getting all that magic in 1 or 2 days. And I feel you on that. Like, I've totally been there where you want to cram it all in. And not only do I feel you on that, I've seen it, right? We've seen it in the parks. We've seen parents yelling at their kids or telling them, and it might have been me that I saw, telling them, like, you better be happy. This is the happiest place on earth. That's like my favorite line because I hear that so much. And I think it's because we're trying to put too much into one vacation. So if you have the time, take the time and get those 5 day tickets. So we always have awesome ticket deals with our ticket partner, Getaway Today. And they had recently a ticket deal that was buy 4 days, get the 5th day free. I'd love to see that return. We don't always know when those sales come up, but we always let our listeners and our members know. But I was able to upgrade my kids' tickets because I have an annual pass. I know, it's like the horrible mom, right? I have an annual pass and they don't. But I was able to upgrade their tickets, and I called Getaway Today, which is awesome because they're good to fix your tickets if there's a sale, whatever. So I called them and I was like, hey, how much would it be to upgrade my kids' tickets from 4 to 5 days? And they said $90. And I was like, sweet. I want all 3 of them, do $90 each. And they're like, no, $90. So it was $30 more to do the upgrade. And I was like, I am in. And actually, I don't know if I explained it right. I had 3-day tickets and I needed, because the fourth, if you buy fourth day, you get the fifth day free. So I was upgrading to the fourth day. I was getting 2 extra days at Disneyland for
Yeah.
$30 a piece. Like,
Yeah. So an
what?
extra $15 a day and you have 5-day tickets.
Well, it didn't take me long to upgrade to an annual pass a few years ago. Obviously, I'm at Disneyland all the time because this is my full-time job, telling everyone about Disneyland and when to come and what to do and what to
Yeah.
eat, right, Becca? So if people are getting 3-day tickets or 5-day tickets and they're even in somewhat of the vicinity of California, we don't have to be just in California to have annual passes. And you have an annual pass. When did you decide like it was the right time to upgrade? And how do you determine if an annual pass is right for you or your
I have been
family?
an annual pass holder off and on over the last 8 years. And the reason it's off and on is every year it is a math problem trying to figure out if it's a good deal for us. The way you decide if you should upgrade to an annual pass is simply the math. Like, I hate math. I really don't enjoy it. But when it comes to Disney math, it's always a little bit more fun. So I'm okay doing Disney math and figuring out if I should upgrade to an annual pass, especially if the answer is yes. Then it's like, yes, the math was worth it. But if you will be traveling more than one time to Disney within a 12-month period, now it is definitely worth it to upgrade to an annual pass, because before it was like this really like, oh, but if I go 2 times for 3 days, then it's still cheaper. But Disneyland introduced a new annual pass that as long as you go twice within the 12 months and each of those are 2 days, like, and you would buy perk hoppers, you would save money getting their new annual pass called the Flex Pass. I know.
That's
It's like,
crazy.
it's over 600 at the time of this recording. It is over $600 to buy 2 2-day park hopper tickets. And when we recorded this, the Flex Pass, it was introduced for $599. What? Like, you can save money. And then that's not even
Yeah,
including the dining discounts and the merchandise discounts you will get because you have an annual pass.
that's awesome. I love also a little annual pass trick, and sometimes it can save you money, sometimes it doesn't save you as much. But we recommend booking through our ticket partners, taking that ticket and upgrading it. Even if it doesn't save you a ton of money, I feel like it does because you're already like invested in buying the ticket for 2 days or 3 days. And then when you go to upgrade, you don't have to pay this huge chunk of money
Right.
up front, right? Because you've kind of already put your own little down payment. So you can buy your tickets through our ticket partner and take those to Disneyland for the
Correct. And
upgrade.
one thing to note on that is you save a little when you purchase your tickets through Getaway Today, right? And so let's say for easy math, you get a $300 ticket, but Getaway Today only charges you $295. When you go to upgrade, they will credit you the $300 because that's what the gate price
Yes.
is. Now, if you got a special ticket, like sometimes they do a spring ticket deal like they did at the beginning of 2019 where it's like $100 off. Well, Disneyland also had that deal. So you won't get the $100 credited to you. You'll only get the little bit extra that you save from Getaway Today. But it saves you that $5. Also, waiting to upgrade can help if you have blockout dates while you are going to Disneyland. So the
Oh,
deluxe
super
and
smart.
signature both have blockout dates. Those are the two available to non California residents besides the Flex Pass. And then the Flex Pass, it's a very interesting pass. We'll have to do another episode all about annual passes, but it has some days that are good to go, some days that are blocked out, and some days that you have to make reservations for. So utilizing the ticket first will save you from blockout dates that might be at the beginning of your trip. Just save all of your souvenir shopping until after you get your annual pass so you can use your discount.
Okay, let's wrap it up with some final thoughts on how many days to go to Disneyland. Let's say you splurge and you're going for the 5 day rather than like a 1 day or 2 day. What are some things that you would be able to experience doing 5 days that you probably wouldn't get to experience if you were just doing 1 or 2?
With 5 days, I would be able to take in shows. For us, rides are priority. So being able to take in Frozen or, Mickey's PhilharMagic or any of those shows that are available at California Adventure. Plus, you have Mickey and the Magical Map over at Disneyland. There's a lot of shows I would take in. I would spend more time eating. I do a few sit down meals. If I'm there for only 1 or 2 days, I'm only eating quick service because I want to eat and go. But if I'm there for 5 days, I don't mind sitting down for a real meal every day. And then I would say you also just get to do like a lot more, like you feel like you can shop, you can ride the Mark Twain. There's just all those things that you would probably be like, I don't have time for. Now you do.
There's so many details in Disneyland Resort to explore, and that's what really brings the magic of it. Also, having more time for character interactions, going to explore Mickey's house in Toontown, playing in the playhouses in Toontown. That's not something that my kids got to do for quite a while until we ended up spending more time at Disneyland. Yeah. Giving the kids that downtime, right? What are some of your favorite downtime places when you have a little extra time?
So my kids, obviously, I still have preschoolers. They love Toontown. Another place that we really like to hang out is just, and I'm going to get either you love it or you hate it, but I actually kind of like just hanging out in Galaxy's Edge. Not doing like a lot of shopping or doing the rides, but I mean, you and I hung out a lot at Docking Bay 7. I just kind of like sitting there and the atmosphere, seeing that. And then in California Adventure, I really enjoy the Pixar Pier area and just walking around there. So those are the places that I tend to gravitate to when I'm just like, oh, I just want to walk around and look at details. What about you?
Definitely throw in some people watching. My kids are old enough that they could go on some attractions. Actually, they could go on all the attractions by themselves. So if there's a chance that I sit out on a ride, which is rare, super rare, but sitting there and just doing some people watching is a lot of fun. But if we have extra time, my kids love to go to Tom Sawyer Island. It's not my personal favorite place because you have to hit it right with timing so it's not hot outside and stuff like that. But it's definitely, we have more flexibility the more days you go, and they can do all those things that they've seen and hope to do. And we just have a ton of fun. And really, it doesn't get old. I take my kids back over and over, and they're not sick of it yet. I'm not sick of it. So closing out, we're going to do a Would You Rather Disneyland edition. And this Would You Rather is brought to us by Disneyland with Kids Facebook group member Melissa L. And she asked, would you rather have a churro or a beignet? Becca, you're first up to answer this question.
You don't want my answer because my answer's neither.
You can't pick neither.
Beignet.
If you are forced, which one?
I don't like churros.
You can find Mickey-shaped beignets over in New Orleans Square at the Mint Julep Bar. You can also get them at Cafe Orleans. And you can get regular beignets in downtown Disney at Jazz Kitchen and Jazz Kitchen Express. So there's 4 different places for you. Lots of people like Mickey-shaped beignets, but I prefer the taste of the Jazz Kitchen ones. Are you going to go for Mickey shape or taste on this one?
Well, since I'm not a huge fan of them anyways, I'll go Mickey shape because then, you got to buy anything that's Mickey shaped, right?
Right. Okay, so for me, I would go for churro, and I'm going for classic churro. I've tried some of the different flavors that they offer throughout the season. They look really pretty. They're a lot of fun, but every time I'm like, you know what? I just want that classic cinnamon sugar flavor. So I'm definitely doing churro over beignets, and I'm going for classic.
So no churro challenges for you?
No churro challenge for me, but I know your family has done that, and that's a lot of fun to watch that video on YouTube.
Yeah, they're excited. I think we're going to be doing some more here in the future.
That wraps up our conversation, but we want to hear from you. Let us know how many days you spend at Disneyland and how many days you would like to spend at Disneyland. Remember to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Before you pack your bags for Disneyland, subscribe to the podcast and leave a quick review to let us know how we're doing here at Disneyland with Kids.